So do you follow design trends? Well, you might want to rethink these 5 trends as they could be ruining your design work. Yeah. Seriously, I really saw my work change when I thought about trends in a very different way, or at least these 5 trends. Color is one of the most powerful tools a designer can actually yield. It sets the tone, evokes emotions, and it communicates brand identity, as you can see in Tiffany & Co.'s signature Tiffany Blue, and this sets a tone of elegance, luxury, and sophistication. But we're here to discuss the problem of color in regard to trends. So what is the big issue? In recent years, there's been a growing tendency to lean heavily on trendy color palettes by designers. Whether it's a pastel gradient one year to the neon bright colors the next. Trendy palettes can make a design look current and appealing in the short term, but it does come with significant downsides, especially when used without careful consideration of the project's long-term goals. So the obvious problem is that a trendy color palette isn't going to be timeless and it will soon be outdated. But there is another big downside that a lot of designers won't be considering. When a color palette becomes quote-unquote trendy, it gets overused across countless designs in countless industries. This leads to a visual saturation, making designs that use the palette less impactful and essentially become lost in other designs. Now, a brand that uses a trendy color scheme might find itself blending in with competitors rather than standing out. But here's what you can do when it comes to choosing colors and trends. When you're choosing a color scheme, consider the trends for specific projects such as social media artwork or social media posts, or designs that won't be around for too long. But also try and tweak the palette a little bit to make it more unique and more relevant to your brief. Now, I know the next trend is going to anger some people, and quite rightly so. AI tools have rapidly gained popularity in the graphic design world. That's kind of obvious, right? But there is a trend occurring where there is a blind adoption of AI-generated designs without critical oversight, which can lead to several issues. There are numerous AI logo generators out there, and people can even design websites and produce website templates in a matter of seconds, and so on. This in of itself isn't much of an issue really, but the over-reliance on it is a problem. If you want to be a successful designer who has their work and their style stand out, you need to consider the next section of this video. AI should be seen as a tool to enhance, not to replace the designer's creativity and expertise. Use AI to automate repetitive tasks, to generate ideas, or explore new possibilities, but ensure that the final design is guided by the human intuition that you have as a designer. You by no means should be relying on it to create finished designs. The next trend that is causing problems actually stretches far into many art and design industries, and is a really big and serious problem. Also, ask yourself if you've been guilty of this one as we get into it. So take a look at the project on screen right now, and there's no hate on the designer or the project itself. The project looks neat, the typography is decent, the layout is more than fine, but there is something about the project I have a problem with. Notice the illustrations used on this project. They may not be generic stock illustrations, but they do look like they are at least. They are easily recognizable because they are available to literally everyone. This is the problem with stock illustrations. It also means that multiple brands or businesses will end up using the same or similar illustrations. If you just take a look around, you can see websites, apps, posters, flyers, everything using these stock generic illustrations. But it actually gets worse. They can come across as impersonal and generic, which diminishes the emotional impact and authenticity of a design. The fix here is pretty simple. Either make custom illustrations, invest in non-generic ones, or opt for a different style completely, one that doesn't include illustrations. But whatever you do not fall into the trap of this trend. The next trend that might be causing harm to your designs and your work is a trend I've been fond of in the past, and it does still have importance in graphic design. Let me explain. It's characterized by simplicity, clean lines, ample white space, and a focus on essentials. While minimalism can create elegant, timeless designs, overusing it or applying it without consideration and context can lead to big problems. There is one huge, famous disaster in regard to this trend being misused. It actually goes quite far back to 2010. This is where Gap introduced a minimalist logo that replaced its iconic blue box and serif font with a simple Helvetica-based design. The new logo was widely criticized for being too generic, and it lost the brand's identity, which I totally agree with, of course. Within a week of the design's launch, Gap actually reverted to its original logo, acknowledging that the minimalist design had failed to connect with customers. Basically, it was a complete failure. When considering minimal design, here's exactly what you can do. Most of the time, it should be a tool to be used to refine a design, and not the overbearing aspect or main aspect of a design. Minimalism should not come at the cost of functionality. Ensure the essential information, navigation, and features are still easily accessible and clear on your design. And when designing, ask whether the minimal elements are still effective in communicating the necessary message and serving the user's needs. The next trend that might be harming your work is based around Dribbble and Behance. Yeah, that's right, there's actually potential issues here for designers. Designers are using these platforms more and more to get noticed and to get eyes onto their work, which of course is completely fine. But there is one trap some designers are falling right into. On Dribbble and Behance, the goal is often to create visually striking pieces that garner likes, shares, and comments. This can push designers to focus more on visual appeal rather than the functionality of a design itself. In the real world, designs need to serve a purpose, whether that's making information accessible, guiding users through a process, or facilitating communication. And here's the problem. Some designers are designing with the goal of showing off their work in mind being the main focus, when in fact, you should be designing for the brief and then transform the design after it's finished to fit into these relevant platforms. When uploading projects, include short explanations of your design's decision, the challenges you faced, and how the design meets practical needs, and basically just tell a story. And you've learned of 5 trends that can be harming your work, but if you want to learn about how to use graphic design trends in 2024, just click that video on screen. But until next time guys, design your future today. Peace.